Some other things that may not be included are your spouse's income and expense and their retirement situation.
Yeah, if you get rid of your spouse, then it's going to be...
No.
That's the point you were making, is what it sounded like to me.
No, it isn't.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Fun Money Podcast. We are your sultans of cash, patrons of philanthropy, all the things that you heard at the beginning.
Just introduced as.
That's right.
You're going to rehash those.
My name is Josh Hargrove.
My name is Ross Powell.
Question of the day.
Question of the day is: are you watching this on video or are you listening on audio?
No, the question of the day is your 401k calculator lying
That's
to
right.
you?
That's the question I remember now.
Is your 401k calculator lying to you? And what do we mean when we say 401k calculator?
Are you supposed to put it through like a lie detector test to find out?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. Okay, so your question is, what are these things that we're talking about? 401k calculator. So if you've got some large investment house who offers you these online products and suite of products to accompany your 401k, one of them could be a calculator to help you figure out
retirement calculator.
A retirement calculator. Are you on track?
Yeah.
What is your number of funds that you need to be able to retire?
Yeah.
Is it lying?
Is it?
How do you know?
Okay, so first of all, obviously it lacks a moral compass or any propensity to lie.
That's right.
It's a piece of software. But really what we're trying to say is, are you getting accurate feedback from this thing? And so we would argue that in oftentimes it is not an accurate depiction of where you are with respect to you. It is not an accurate. Therefore, it is inaccurate. Mm-hmm. Its depiction of where you are with respect to your retirement goals.
So answering the question from the top of the podcast here.
Is it lying?
Yes.
Probably so.
Unintentionally.
Yes.
But it's based on the information that you're feeding it. So what types of things are included and what types of things are excluded from this calculation that make a difference?
Well, let's start with a situation where it might be under-evaluating or under-reporting where you are.
Okay, so you're saying in this situation, it's saying you are 80% funded for your retirement, but actually you could go ahead and retire. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Correct. Yeah.
The situation that you're laying out.
Yeah. And typically what it's doing, just for clarification, it isn't necessarily saying that go ahead and retire now. It's how are you pacing? But I don't know if it as necessarily says like, can you retire today? But it's how are you pacing with respect to your goal? But yes, exactly. You're pacing to be 80% there by the time you want to retire, so there's a shortfall.
I think there are two different calculators. So
are there?
One is, are you on track? Are you doing the right things? And one is, are you there?
Are you there? Okay. So in either case, we're taking this from the perspective of it's saying that there's a shortfall. You're not either pacing
underfunded.
Yeah, you're underfunded. Okay, with respect to what your goals are, and so the problem there that can arise is that it has failed to take into consideration certain facets of your retirement outlook. Like for example, this came from a recent conversation that I had with a new client, and it's like what if you have, like in the case with this person, some family farmland out there that's generating some income for you that you own, or at least are partial owner or owner of. And that's going to continue, indefinitely. And you could sell and you could take that money and plug it into your investment account and maybe turn that into more money.
So some stream of passive income that is passive in nature and continuing into perpetuity.
Yeah, or
as much as possible.
Or maybe it's not actually creating the income right now, but you intend to use it for that in the future, or you're going to sell it at some point. So there's some complexities there that are going to be difficult for a calculator to assess because it's pretty much just running a future value. Here's what you have. Here's what it's going to grow by. Here's what that's going to turn into. Will that create enough income for you in the future? And so it's going to miss that.
Yeah.
Another would be another situation could be a lot of people don't plan to just completely stop working when they quote unquote retire.
Okay.
You're going to turn 65 and say, all right, I want to be done with this. I want to walk away from this job, that fast-paced, full-time, executive grind, but I'd like to do
Stressful.
something.
Yeah. You're going to move into a position that is less maybe physically taxing, maybe less time taxing,
Right.
and maybe less mentally stressful as well. So
and
it doesn't necessarily have to mean cut off all work and retire to the easy chair, but sometimes it does. So in those situations where people are going to progress out of full-time employment into retirement with part-time income, you're telling me that's missing from this calculator.
Yeah, because if this calculator says, all right, based on the fact that you have $600,000 inside of across your investment accounts, that's going to turn into, 1.3 million, and then here's how much income that's going to provide. Well, that's not enough. You're going to run out. Well, if you work for 5 years from 65 to 70 and you make 30,000 a year, 40,000, whatever, that's less money you have to take out of your retirement account. That's more years of compounding. And that significantly, especially in those early years of retirement, that significantly increases what is available in those later years and closes that gap that your 401k calculator might be telling you is there.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a couple of other things that might be missing.
Do tell.
Or it might be off in the calculation. So if this 401k calculator, in retirement calculator, if it's set up to determine that you are intending to replace 100% of your income, that may be something that is skewing the numbers, skewing
Exactly.
the calculations. If you're not needing to live on 100% of your income, if you're planning to pay off your mortgage before you retire, that could be a significant chunk of your cash flow that you're not going to extend as a need into your retirement. And so maybe you don't need to replace 100% of your income. And this is a nuance in a specific situation, but is pretty common.
Yeah, so that's a great point. What are some, Ross, give us a couple of other common expenses that roll off that you could, because you mentioned the mortgage, right? So at some point your house gets paid off, hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's an expense that you no longer have an obligation for. What are some other common expenses that you might have now, but that you aren't, or places that your money are going to, that they won't be in the future?
One is your retirement funding.
Exactly.
I think this is the one that you were thinking about.
That's one that I was thinking about, yes.
Is as you retire, you're no longer going to contribute between 3 and 15% of your income towards your retirement funding. It will be funded.
Yeah, that's, $20,000 to $27,000 a year if you're maxing out, that you're not doing anymore.
That's right.
Okay. Another big one are niños.
Oh, those little kitties.
Little kitties, little children. So those things are expensive.
Yes. Just my 11-year-old is expensive.
They're expensive.
Yes.
And you know what? Then they go to college and that's expensive. And then they move back in with you and that's expensive.
No, that doesn't happen.
But it really does for a lot of, in all seriousness, like you got to take that into consideration. How much of your current expenses are reflective of the fact that you are providing for children of some particular age?
Yeah.
Offspring.
Some other things that may not be included are your spouse's income. Mm-hmm. And expense and their retirement situation.
Yeah, if you get rid of your spouse, then it's going to be...
No.
That's the point you were making, is what it sounded like to me.
No, it isn't.
We do not advocate that.
What I was saying is, like my spouse, she is a teacher, and so she's going to retire on teacher retirement, and that is a fixed income.
Correct.
That is not inflation adjusted and is not investment performance dependent.
Correct.
So if the market is not particularly performing at the time, it is not going to hurt more or less to draw out those funds. They're just a set fixed income. But also on the flip side of that is it's not inflation and it's not adjusted as regularly. There are occasional adjustments there, but
Another factor that might be missing from
majorly fixed.
from the calculation is your longevity. How long are you going to be walking this planet? Not as an apparition, but as an actual flesh and blood human.
If I turn into a ghost, the first person I haunt,
It's gonna be me, right?
yes,
Oh, I can't wait. All right, so but that's
I hope you wait a long time. Come on now.
so if your calculator, let's say, is drawing you out to age 90, you might think, okay, that's pretty good. And we had a conversation about this on a different episode recently. 90 is good. Anything short of 90 is we think strongly would argue that's premature. You need to have that stretch out a little bit further. But 95, maybe even 100, you want to take into account, what if I live, longer?
Yes, and each year that you live, you want to continue to this slow adjustment of the draws on the funds based on their performance and your needs and your current expenses.
Yeah.
And so it's continually moving target as you progress towards the end of your life or the transfer of wealth to the next generation.
Do you have any more?
I do, but they go the other way.
Yeah, go.
You ready to go the other way?
Well, look, okay, actually, before you do, there's one more. Wait a second. We're arguing from it's under. Okay, no, sorry, take it back. Mine's the other way. So yes, let's go there.
I think we're going to the same one here, where your retirement calculator is lying to you that you are 100% funded or more.
Or more.
And is not factoring in some of the additional expenses that may come into life.
Yeah.
Is that what is that where you're headed?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Look at us.
Here we are, pointing at each other across the room through the cameras. Long-term care needs.
Oh man, you did it. You went there.
I did.
You went there.
It's sometimes an unexpected expense that drains quickly, but it's also an expense that is moved into, usually not all at once. So a typical case for someone who needs long-term care needs is that it's progressive.
Yeah.
They need a little care at home, and then they need a little more care at home, and then they need some care at a facility, and then they need some more care at a facility, and so on and so forth. So
right.
Those costs increase with each incremental need.
Yep. And we are talking about a cost, by the way, which depending on where you live or where you would be living at that phase of your life could range anywhere from $36,000 to $30,000 to $80,000 per year of additional expenses. And so that could be a significant strain on retirement.
Yeah, and it would significantly reduce those years that your retirement calculator is expecting to cover at fixed expenses, not including these increased additional expenses on top of what you're planning to spend.
Yeah. Anything else? I have one more.
Yeah, I'd go for it.
Okay, so the other one that I'm thinking of is what these calculators do is it's going to basically say, here's your average return rate that you're going to have throughout the duration of your retirement. Let's say it's calling it 5%. Okay, so 5% is a reasonable assumption that you're going to get. You're going to average 5% over the course of your retirement years. And that may absolutely be the case. But what if the first 3 years of your retirement, you have flat or negative returns? That could spell disaster for a person's retirement plan.
Yeah.
Even though, by the way, so those are the first 3 years. But the rest of the years, the market rebounds, and so it averages out to be 5%.
But you're needing to draw out the principal on those years.
Yes.
In years where the market is down, or your particular investment is down, or your investment is flat, even when it is projected and estimated to be climbing.
So this is something called sequence of returns risk, which is dealing with, okay, you might have this as your average.
Sorry.
I don't know. You might have seen that maybe you'll see that on the video. But Ross bumped his microphone and then went to adjust it and made a funny sound. Anyways,
Sequence of returns risk,
which is
where we were.
which is no laughing matter.
It is not.
But yeah, it's that exact idea of you might average this as your return rate, but the market is up and it's down. So when did those ups and downs happen? And depending on what the answer is, that again could actually result in you don't have enough money in your retirement account, even though it says you do.
Yeah.
So what does, pray tell, someone do to get an accurate look?
I would say meet with a financial professional and
Oh my
have the
gosh.
full conversation, not just what is the automatic calculator showing.
So self-serving.
It is, but that's the answer.
That's always the answer.
Do you have any other answers?
Well, I mean, I would say yes. Meeting with a financial advisor obviously is something that we're fans of, but like we said at the outset, the calculator, all that it is just that. It is a calculator, meaning that it requires input, and the person putting the inputs in is you. And so you just have to make sure that you have all of the correct inputs in. Number one, you're taking everything into consideration that we talked about, the spouse's pension, the farmland, so on and so forth. The other thing, though, that you have to do is what we call stress testing your plan. So it might say that you're 90, 95, or 100% there, but then you have to stress test it with things like sequence of returns risk. There are some different ways of doing that. Like a Monte Carlo simulation is one of the most common. And then add the extra expense of a potential long-term care situation. So these are ways that you can really stress test that, and that's critical that you do that. You don't need a financial planner to do that. You can do it yourself, but most people are not. Most people don't have the time. Most people aren't even going to think of all the things that they need to plug in. So that's where getting some professional help is certainly advantageous in our humble self-serving opinion.
I feel like that's a pretty good wrap up.
Yeah, thanks.
Your 401k retirement calculator may not include all the information that it needs, and it may be not evaluating under, or maybe over evaluating. So,
yeah, okay, very
use
good.
it as a tool, use it wisely, and consider all the information.
All right.
What have you been listening to?
What have you been listening to?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay, so Coldplay has an album. It's about their middle album now, somewhere in there. It's called Ghost Stories.
Okay.
My wife refers to it as his breakup album. He's just recently broken up with Gwyneth Paltrow, and it's sad, and it's got a lot of bass and some electronic synths and stuff in it. So I've been listening to it recently. It's pretty calm, but also sad.
Yeah.
What have you been listening to?
Okay, so
do you know the album I'm talking about? Ghost Stories.
I know that I can't think of which songs specifically are on it, but I mean I know that I know it, and I know that I've listened to it.
Yeah.
That's as far as I can go. I like Coldplay. I like them a lot. So I've been listening to not like one specific thing. I'm actually toying with some DJ software.
Really?
Really.
Okay.
It's something that just I think would be fun.
My gym offers DJ classes.
You're like exercise gym?
Yes.
That's such
It's also, I mean, it's
a weird flex.
It's a community center
Okay.
attached to a gym
Okay.
and a pool.
Yeah, and a senior center. So they
A
offer
senior center, yeah, and
so
and
the,
DJ classes.
as your retirement calculator might not be telling you about about the DJ classes.
They are more expensive than I thought that they would be.
DJ classes?
Yes.
There's no price I'm unwilling to pay. Am I
So
saying that right?
so you
I'll pay
are
whatever it
not
takes.
price sensitive to the cost of DJ classes.
No, I'm going the self-taught route like I have
Okay.
with all the other instruments I play
Yeah.
and singing.
How many YouTube tutorials have you watched about how to DJ?
Oh, zero so far. Well, other than the software itself, there's something called it's called Virtual DJ, and apparently it's pretty prolific, and it's free and it's quite robust. So it's not like some cheapy software that you get for free. It's actually legitimate software, but if you're just kind of a hobbyist, it's free. If you transition to doing this as a business, then I think that's where you kind of go to paying for it somehow
for the licensing.
I haven't gone that far,
subscription.
obviously. I don't know what the criteria are. But what I can say is, it's something that I've been thinking about and wanting to kind of play with. And then, like, around the same time, my youngest, Tyson, has expressed some interest in wanting to mix. And so I'm like, dude, this is great. So I'll get this. I'll try to figure out how it works, the basics. Then I can introduce him to it. So
Learn
I've just
together.
been toying with different random songs in my library to try to see, like, beats per minute, how do they blend in. And
So Avi, our intern here, is about to take a class called The History of EDM. So you're going to be like the next chapter.
Are you
and
telling
Tyson. I'm
you're
telling
telling a
truth.
joke? This is
Truth.
serious?
Yes,
Really?
he's really University of Texas at A&M.
Dude, hold on a second. You got to
taking
get
a
your
course
words right. It is
called-
not the University of Texas at A&M.
Texas A&M University.
Thank you.
Sorry, how many Aggies can I offend?
Well, at
Two
least
in this
two.
room.
Yeah.
He's going to take a course called The History of EDM.
That's cool, Abby. I didn't know that. Yeah, that sounds like a fun class.
He's nodding his head for those who can't see him.
Hey, have you ever used Virtual DJ? Have you used DJ software ever? Any DJ software? No? Okay. Dang it. I was hoping I could score some tips. That's okay. Well, this is our final episode with Abby, right? Speaking of.
I think so.
Yeah, man. Final episode with Abby before he moves on and heads to Texas A&M
The
University.
University of A&M,
Nope,
Texas.
not that one. The Texas A&M University. So, hey, let's take a moment and thank and honor Abby for seriously 2 back-to-back summers coming in here, working with 2 buffoons to help us pull off this podcast. We are incredibly grateful for you.
Appreciate it, man.
We wish you the best of luck. The good news is that Abby is super intelligent and humble. He's going to knock it out of the park when he gets to A&M and beyond. So we're super, super excited for you. And once you figure out DJing, come back and teach me how to do it.
Again, thanks for your help. This summer's been great. Reconnecting, recording, creating all kinds of additional content. So appreciate it, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have time for.
Catch you
Thank you
guys soon.
guys for listening. See you next time.